Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy. Today is August 28th of 2024, and today we celebrate the memorial of St. Augustine, Bishop and Doctor of the Church. Today's Gospel comes to us from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 23, verses 27 through 32. And Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Even so, on the outside you appear righteous, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and evildoing. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the memorials of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have joined them in shedding the prophets' blood. Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are the children of those who murdered the prophets. Now fill up what your ancestors measured out." In today's Gospel, we see that Jesus is dead set, as it were, to expose the scribes and Pharisees' hypocrisy, as he draws two comparisons regarding tombs. First, he calls his listeners whitewashed tombs. And second, he says that they bear witness against themselves because they build tombs to the prophets their ancestors killed. We can consider then first what these two references mean, and second, how the lessons that Jesus wants to teach can be applied to our own lives. First, Jesus calls the scribes and Pharisees whitewashed tombs, saying that while they look nice on the outside, performing good deeds, well, on the inside they're all full of filth. In the same way, the tombs would be decorated with marble and finery, whitewashed to look very nice, but inside there's only dry, nasty bones. In a commentary attributed to St. John Chrysostom, the author writes that the bodies of the righteous are called temples, right? We call our body the temple of the Holy Spirit, because the soul is alive and well, governing the body, and that God dwells in the righteous. However, he says the bodies of sinners can be called tombs, because the soul is dead and God isn't there. For this reason, he says, just as a tomb appears beautiful on the outside, as long as it is closed, but if it is opened, it is horrible, so also the imitators of the good are praiseworthy as long as they are not known, meaning that their sinful deeds and hidden wickedness are just that, hidden. But once they have been recognized, they are found to be abominable. The second comparison is perhaps a little bit harder to grasp. How does building the tombs bear witness against the present age? Again, the author of that commentary writes that the Jews always worshipped past saints and despised the present ones. Or rather, they persecuted and hated living saints and were friendly to dead ones. They could not endure the rebukes of the prophets, and so persecuted and killed them. For to those who wish to live in an evil fashion, a rebuke is always seen as hostile. But afterwards, when their children were born, they understood the faults of their ancestors, and so, grieving for the death of the innocent prophets, they built their monuments, and yet themselves likewise persecuted and killed their own prophets, who rebuked them for their sins. For one quickly understands another's fault, but his own with difficulty, right? It's easy to understand when somebody else has done something wrong, but it's hard for us to look at ourselves and say like, oh yeah, I screwed up. So in the same way, Jesus is telling them that they are just like their fathers. They condemn him, who points out their sins, but love the prophets of old, who did the same thing to their fathers in the past. So what does this mean for us? Well, both comparisons have a point for us. Regarding the first, in the same commentary that we talked about attributed to John Chrysostom, the author asks a question. He says, "Tell me, O hypocrite, if it is good to be good, why do you not wish to be what you appear? But if it is bad to be bad, why do you wish to be what you do not wish to appear?" The warning he's getting at is essentially this: we need to be consistent and coherent. If we want to be good and holy people, it's not enough just to look that way. We really need to be holy. Likewise, regarding the second point, the same author comments, When you hear someone blessing the teachers of old, test him to see what he's like around his own teachers. For if he bears them and honors them with whom he lives, doubtless he would have honored the teachers of old had he lived with them. But if he despises his own teachers, truly he would have despised also those if he had lived in their day. For every correction is just like other testings. Just as every test builds the faithful even more, but further destroys the unbelievers, so also every rebuke of discipline makes a religious person and God-fearer better, but it disturbs the irreligious and evil person and forces him to become worse. Therefore, just as a potter's vase is tested by fire, so also a good heart is known by rebuke. That's a dense and profound commentary, and there's a lot there, but let's just consider this following point. Let's ask ourselves, how do we put up with those around us, especially those who rebuke us or try our patience? How do we deal with corrections, especially unjust ones, and disappointments? What is our attitude like towards others? What's our attitude and our reaction when we receive insults and corrections? So today, through the intercession of Mary, Queen of all saints, let's ask for the grace to be coherent in our lives, to live a life that's coherent with what we preach, and to accept corrections and rebukes, insults and injuries with humility and the desire to grow further in holiness.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed hearing the gospel and homily, I invite you to share it with someone you know who may also find it rewarding, and also to subscribe to the Catholic Voice channel. Please see in the description below if you would like to receive a text message for each daily gospel and homily. Please also keep our missionary priests throughout the world in your prayers. Thank you, and God bless.